The next step is to assign all the peripherals to the correct pins on the microcontroller. This is where the datasheet becomes absolutely essential. If we look at the MCU datasheet, specifically the pin configuration and alternate function section, which in this case is shown around page 31, we can see exactly which pins support which peripheral signals. Looking at the CAN peripheral, we can see that the CAN RX signal is mapped to pin PA11 on this particular STM32 variant. Once we've identified that in the datasheet, we switch back to the schematic and make the physical connection. In this case, we connect the RxD output from the CAN transceiver directly to the PA11 pin on the MCU. This process, checking the datasheet, identifying the correct pin, and then wiring it in the schematic, is repeated for every peripheral signal. It ensures that the hardware design matches what the MCU actually supports and avoids problems later when we start writing firmware. As we can see, the CAN-TX is mapped to PA12 on the MCU, so let's switch back to the schematic and copy the TXD net from the transceiver and paste it to PA12 on the STM. Next, we look at the UART header. In the datasheet, we see that the UART1 has the same pin configuration as CAN, TX, and RX, so let's not use UART1. Instead, we can choose UART2, or even 3. On page 29, we see that UART2 is available, so let's use that one. We see that TX maps to PA2 and RX maps to PA3. Switching back to the schematic, we will copy the TX net on the UART header and paste it on the PA2 pin on the STM. And we will do the same for the RX net and paste it to PA3. Moving on to the SWD header, we need to connect the SWD I/O and SW clock signals to the MCU. Switching back to the datasheet, we see that on page 31, we have the pin mapping for SWD I/O, and on page 32, we have the pin mapping for SW clock. So switching back to the schematic, we will copy the SWD I/O net from the header and paste it to PA13 on the STM, following the datasheet. And as we can see, SW clock is mapped to PA14. So let's copy the net SW clock from the header and paste it to PA14 on the STM.